Hi, everybody. I'm Joel Meyers, and welcome to our special edition of Pelicans Live. Really good to say that as we get ready for basketball on Fox Sports New Orleans. Alongside Antonio Daniels. And in the next 30 minutes, we're going to be joined by the Executive Vice President of the Pels, David Griffin. He'll sit down with us, as well as Jen Hale. And Jen is going to get together with Drew Holiday and discuss the amazing, amazing things that they have done. Drew, Lauren, their daughter, JT. So that's all coming up in the next 30 minutes, as well as breaking down the 8 seeded games that the Pels get ready for. AD, I know we've talked a lot on the cell. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you as well, brother. We back. We are back.
Finally.
It's time to start calling some games and have fun doing it. Looking forward to it.
Give me your ideas, because we've watched the scrimmages, and it's really been impressive what the league has done. What did you expect, and what have you seen so far from those scrimmages, and just the bubble itself, the campus they provided?
You know, first and foremost, you got to give it up to Adam Silver, the MBPA, and the Brain Trust. They got this right. They really did get this right. And I remember thinking months ago, I don't know how they can possibly pull this off. It's a lot of hoops to jump through. Putting players in quarantine, 22 different teams. How are they going to go about if somebody turns up positive? The testing, all of these different hoops that they had to jump through. What are these games going to look like? These are the best players in the world, and you're going to put these guys on a floor where you can see the stands, the best players in the world getting up and down, and there's no one in the stands. It's going to look like a 9 o'clock in the morning AAU basketball game with the best players in the world. And if you look at these games, they got it right. You know, you can hear the crowd noise. You know, you can't see the stand. So the camera level that they have it at, it's awesome. It is awesome. If you did not know, if you had no idea that this was actually a restart going on where fans weren't allowed in these games, you wouldn't think any different. They got this right.
And aren't you glad they didn't put any cardboard cutouts in there?
Yes.
Looks
yes,
pretty good the way
I
it
am.
is. It's a great stage
fantastic
for the best players in the world is what it is.
Right.
And I do like the fact that they put in some music. Each team has their own preference for music, and you hear that music. Whether it's Jay-Z or whoever it might be, the music is there, and you can pick up on that as well. Now, adjustments for the Pels. What do you think is the biggest? And give me a couple of things. Going in, biggest adjustments for a group that was really playing at a high level before March 11th and the shutdown. And then chemistry, conditioning. How do you prioritize that?
I think conditioning is the most important thing because the Pels are in a different position than a lot of other teams that are in this bubble. Because if you look at teams like the Lakers, you look at teams like the Clippers, you look at teams that have already solidified where they're going to be when the playoffs start. The Pels don't have a choice but to hit the ground running. And to hit the ground running, that starts a while ago. That starts when you were discussing individual workouts. And then you get into playing 5-on-5. And then you come in, you playing these scrimmages. You see in some of these scrimmages, some of these teams, their best players may not even play. The Pelicans are in a different and unique situation in the fact that they can't afford to get off to a rough start. When you have 8 games, being 3.5 behind with 8 games remaining is completely different than being 3.5 behind with 18 games remaining. Now the level of urgency has been heightened. So now every practice is important. Every scrimmage is important as far as chemistry, camaraderie, and energy, effort, and rhythm. You have to hit the ground running come July 30th when the season starts.
Right. They don't have time to work their way into things.
Right.
Over the first 2 games against winners in the Utah Jazz and the Clips, and we'll get into that in our final segment. The one area that I looked at that I felt that it's going to be critical for the Pels, clutch games. The last 5 minutes, 5 points or less, where only one other team had fewer wins in those situations, the Chicago Bulls, the teams that's not even there. But we did see at the end of the last 10 to 12 games, Brandon Ingram wanted the ball at the end of those games, didn't he? There's guys that actually want it, and that's encouraging.
He's a star. He's a star. And stars exude confidence. Stars want the ball at the end of the game. Just the growth of this team that you referenced earlier when you start talking about from February into March when the season got postponed. Lonzo Ball is not the same player now that he was when the season started. Brandon Ingram is not the same player now than he was when this season started. Roles have been solidified. Guys know and understand what's going to be asked of them on a night-to-night basis. That's what 64, 65 games into a season gets you. Josh Hart knows, okay, I need to go in for this 15 to 20 minutes and be the junkyard dog that I was signed to be. JJ Redick being that veteran. Drew Holiday being the most underrated player in this league and extremely versatile defensively. I love the fact that there's no filling out process anymore. Guys know where they stand. Guys know what is going to be asked of them the moment that this season starts. Because again, it is imperative. It is imperative that the Pelicans, along with some of these other young teams that you look at that they're in competition with, whether it's Memphis, Sacramento, San Antonio, Phoenix, some of these other young teams, it's important that they hit the ground running. Because like you said, this isn't like the regular season. This team started out 6-23 and still had enough time to make up for losing 13 games in a row. You don't have room for error now with only 8 games.